Well,
Hey,
hello
hey.
there, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to Unapologetically Badass. We are super excited to have a conversation today, and we are going to talk about breaking limits, building your dream life and business with Alina Gray. So, welcome, Alina.
Hello, ladies. So thank you for having me here. I'm so excited.
So
We're
excited to have
excited that
you.
you're here, Alina. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
I love it. So, you and I spoke before, but let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. Why don't you kind of share who you are, what you do?
Okay. So we'll start with how this whole business started and how we basically got connected. So I'll start my story with like how most people start their story when they ended up in the self-development world. And so for me, I didn't even really know this world existed. I actually thought the self-development world was for people who are like, had addictions and like serious things, right? Then you find yourself
A
in that.
lot of people have that
Yeah,
stigma,
yeah,
Alina.
right?
Yeah, a lot
It's
of them.
not how
Yeah.
it is now. So that's why I think the way that we're leading it now is so different and it's exciting because it's like anybody can benefit from this. It's more or less not from going from rock bottom anymore. It's like, let's go for where we're good to great. And that's the goal now.
Yes.
And so my story started with, wrong relationship, ignored the red flags, got pregnant in the relationship, and then had the baby, then try to stick with the relationship, then had another surprise baby, while also helping grow a business, which was my partner's business, putting all of our money in there, buying a house, the business not working, the relationship not working. This mom was not sleeping. My children did not let me sleep. I was like up every 2 hours. I breastfed both of my kids, but they just did not sleep. So just zombie. Found myself like most likely postpartum depression, I think, then anxiety, then all the financial stress, then the toxic relationship. Everything was just like just not working. And I found myself for the first time too, like losing my purpose and what I was here for. And I've always had that calling, right? So like my background is like psychology, business, kind of funny how I bridged it all together, but I always wanted to impact people. And so I found myself in just a dark spot. And then someone mentioned something about Abraham Hicks, or I think they were secret. And I just went down this rabbit hole about manifesting. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I started feeling empowered, like because you start doing this work, you start tapping into gratitude, you start tapping back into God provides all of that energy, and I started feeling better. I felt more empowered. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my master's and become a psychologist because that's ultimately what I love doing is helping people. But then I saw a friend expand me about life coaching online. And then I was like, what is this? And then I went down a rabbit hole and I was like, oh my God, people are just like sharing the things that I'm learning. People can do this. And then we have social media and this is free platform that connects us to billions of people. I'm like, this is genius. And all I started doing in between breastfeeding and navigating everything is I just started posting things that were helping my mindset. I believe the way I've grown my mentorship is like be proof of concept, like be the kind of role model. You start with what have you mastered and you start sharing it and then you build. Because I don't believe like some people get into this industry and they're selling where they're like, they're not the proof of concept, right? And there's a lot of AI things being created that are not real. But all I shared was like how gratitude helped me, manifesting. There's like everything that I was doing, subconscious programming, all that juicy stuff. And then people started asking me, they're like, oh, do you have coaching? And I was like, yeah. And then I got the first client. And then the next day I'm like, I'm going full on this. I'm leaving this relationship. I'm like, God, universe, give me a sign. And I'm not kidding you. And I talked about this like 30 minutes later, I was driving back to London because we were living in a country home. And I saw this and I asked for an angel or a blue butterfly. And the car that was in front of me had on the license plate angel. And then later on, I book with that had a blue butterfly. And I was like, yeah, I got the goosebumps, all the things. Then I knew there was a couple mentors that I liked and I was in massive debt. Like I'm talking like almost six figures. Like there, and I was like, no, I'm gonna go get a loan. And I took whatever I had and I got this small low income apartment. I took my daughters and had this one client, but then I took out a loan and hired another coach and started doing a program. And I just, between my naps, between like when someone could take my kids off my plate and then my ex was still like, taking the girls, I would go live and I would just share because I utilized the platform. And then I got another client and I was like, oh my gosh, I started believing I'm like, anything's possible. And then there was another client, right? And then I just went all in and I just showed up and I started creating master classes. And then people are like, how are you getting clients? And then I created my first program. And then I created another program. And so I started with just talking about manifesting, the subconscious mind, all the things that help me. But then I started getting clients who were like, how are you using social media organically? So I created a social media program, then a marketing program. I have programs on everything now. I have such a massive body of work. I have multiple memberships. And it's just every time I master something, I teach it. And then it's just people come out of nowhere. Like, how do we meet? I don't know. And this is where I believe is like, you have a passion, you have a gift, you share it, and you just trust God, universe is going to like align you with the people that come in your world. And I really built my business in such an organic way. There was like never a sales ad. I didn't push one person. I never did a sales call. I really believe in energetics. I believe like when you're in that, I remember we were talking about the zone. We talked about this before. I'm like, when you're in this missionary, visionary mind, it's how it's 11:11. See, universe speaking. And by the way, I'm brave for a reason. Always remind myself.
I love it.
Yeah, and it's just like that was like my big. I've had this since I left the screensaver. I don't want to change it because I'm like it just reminds me to constantly be brave. And I just believe like you're really passionate about something, and you guys know this. And you just have a calling and you use this free platform and you connect with people, we can monetize anything and we get to help people. And I really believe now the kind of work I do, I'm like, God cuts my paycheck, the universe cuts my paycheck. I'm just going to show up, serve, and the right people show up in my world. And it's just been like that and organically. And I've helped so many women grow businesses. Like I hit 6 figures my second year. And I'll tell you what I had. I had a PayPal link, a PayPal me link. Okay. And social media. And then I got my first branding shoot probably like a few months into my business. But otherwise, I just use social media. I didn't push anybody, no sales calls, no website, no team. And I had 6 figures. And I've helped so many women do that. And it's just like, we get so overwhelmed, but it's like, you just got to show up with your passion, energy. And I do believe you got to have a connection to something that's providing these ideas, but you got to move on ideas. And that's the other thing is why I say be brave is like, not only when you have the intuition to move, you do it, but also like when people complain about, I don't have money, I don't have this, I don't have time for it. I'm like, you probably have $1 million ideas all the time coming to you, but you don't move on them. I did a masterclass last week and I was talking about how like many people are sourced an idea or a concept, but the person that moves the fastest gets to put in the world and reaps the benefits from it. And, you know, like they say Edison wasn't technically the original light bulb creator. They say it might have been actually off Tesla and another guy. But I believe, and you know this, I've created names like I have this name, I have this concept. I'm like, yes, because there's ideas coming in all the time. And I believe they're alive and they're looking for a host. It's kind of like in the book, Big Magic. And those who just move and are brave enough, you put in the world. You know, like people think they got to be so smart. There's a man who created a fart app. And he's a millionaire. It's $1 for a juicy fart, and people are complaining. I'm not smart enough. I'm not.
It's so true.
I can show you $1 million kids creating like YouTube videos. Like, I mean, guys, we live in the greatest time. We have free platforms all over. But what's important is you be courageous. You have this passion, and yet you just got to keep showing up and trusting. And it's like magic can happen. So here we are.
And so here we are because we're trying to make this magic happen and you happen to jump on our show. So thank you.
There you go.
You know, when it's a vision and it's a dream and then, you know, you just start meeting these incredible, magical people, all those thoughts and that creativity continues just to come and pour out of you. And I love that you're just brave enough to talk about it and bring it to the forefront.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I think a role model for people is to just jump on things. Like, you know how people are like, well, it's like, I don't do the market research and I have a business background, but I do everything so unconventionally now that like, instead of researching what do people want, it's like, what breakthroughs did I have? What lights me up?
Yeah.
And then with this idea that just keeps coming, that's lighting me up, there's a reason for it. And I'm going to put it out there. And I don't think about who's going to buy it, who's going to like it. It's like, this is it. This changed my life. This is the idea. This is how I show up. And if you want to come, you come. I've also like sold in a way that like people don't even know when things start and people move with me. But it's like, I really believe in energetics. It's like, I think you can feel when people are certain. You can feel like the passion. You can feel the conviction. And then, you know, the way we utilize social media is I do show the behind the scenes. Like, this is my real life. This is what I've created. This is my story. Like basic marketing. And we get to create these incredible businesses serving people. Like, and ideas are constantly coming. People are asking me all the time, like, where do you get all these ideas? Because I'm always launching. I'm like, because God realized when ideas come to me, I move on them. Or, you know, if you connect to source or universe, I just do believe in that. It's like the people who move will create it. But the problem is most people want circumstances to change. They want the money to come. They want the evidence. And it's like, that's just not how it works. Like, you got to move on it. Stop.
You got to move. You got to do something. How do you're always talking about, you know, it is mindset. And we talk about this in so many conversations. It really all comes down to mindset.
Yeah.
But how do you, like, what are the top setbacks? What are the top barriers that are holding women back that you see, the top limiting beliefs that you hear from other women?
For me, it's always like an identity thing. So it's like, I'm not young enough, or I'm too old, or I'm, you know what I mean, too young to be a coach. I don't have the resources. Like, because people now, like, this is why I say, like, I love sharing my stories, and I've kept all my old stuff on my social media so people can scroll to see that there's an evolution, because people can land on my page, and yours too, and where now everything looks great. Looks like someone just, like, you know what I mean, everything's polished, but that's because I've worked on this brand. But people could say, it's easy because she speaks well, she's confident, she's pretty, her husband pays for things, which is like not the story at all. But if you looked at how my story started, it started with, I had this free platform, I have this idea, I have this voice, I do have space in between, even raising kids like we all do, because we talked about this before about, like, everyone's got 24 hours, but it's like doing with it. And if you don't show up, it's like, but it's just all these limiting beliefs. I don't have the money, I can't speak well, I'm not outspoken, I'm not confident, but I have still live streams where you show me, I'm like red. I show up for 1 minute. Hi, no one's watching, but I think I'm going to have a heart attack. I used to skip getting grades in school because I couldn't speak up in front of class. This is me building it. I have worked. I've been going live now for almost 7 years straight. 7 years straight. Like, I've had the business for 6.5, but I've been going live and posting. You used to think I was a shitty writer. I used to think that I was a horrible speaker. I was not as confident as I am now, but this is the thing, is like, confidence is not something you pick from a tree. I actually believe it's compounded. Exactly. And that's what I think confidence is. Like, confidence is eventually when you get the results, but how do you get the results? You go and you go, and it's compounded courage. It's like learning to tie your shoe. One bunny ear. Oh, I suck. And you fail, but you go, then you do it. Same with riding a bike. This is how everything is in the world. But here's the issue with adults. When we were little, we were capable of failing all the time. We fell off the bike. We didn't know how to tie our shoes, but we kept doing it. Now as adults, it's like, I need everything to look perfect so that people don't make fun of me, so that I don't fail, and it's a lot of like worrying about what people think, but it's like nothing you've ever done in your life wasn't on the back end of you falling on your face a few times and being brave enough. But it's the momentum, it's the compound effect. It's like, you gotta just be brave and compounded courage. So a lot of people are just stuck in identities, they're limiting beliefs. They look at people like everybody that's already like chapter 10 while they're on their first chapter. And comparing
it's
each other.
So hard.
It is
that stigma, because social media makes everybody supposedly look so good. So when you do see those things, women can be very, very intimidated, especially. But I also think that as a woman, we are also the most brave. So there's like that double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
Alina, what is your go-to platform? You said I've been going live for 7 years. Did you go live on all the platforms that you have, or was there a specific platform that is just your baby?
Live streams, I specifically focus on Facebook. So the two platforms that I utilize the most is Facebook and Instagram. Those are my favorite. Facebook more for live stream, because I don't know what it is about Instagram. Like, I do it, but you know how people's names are weird on Instagram? I love the connection. So when people hop on Facebook, it's a real name. It's like, hello, Sierra. Hello, Renee. You have a face. But on Instagram, it's like Banana Hannah 69, 49.
And it's harder to engage on Instagram too.
It is, right? And Facebook is very much about relationships. It's like, you know, it's like the people that are already following you, but on Instagram, anybody can hop on, right? But I find for me, live stream worked a lot because I say people's names and I connect with them. And, you know, you guys know this about connecting and building those relationships that are genuine and authentic. Like, I'm like, hello, if you're new to my world, say hi. I've built a lot of relationships. On Instagram, it's more of like the stories and the behind the scenes is where I focus on, and then my like posts and, you know, things on my grid. But when you click on my stories, you see I'm the embodiment. You see what I'm doing throughout the day. You see what I'm working on. And if you've been following me forever, you've seen the evolution. So it's like, I'm not someone where if you're not new or like, no, she's fake, she's just saying this, because there's a lot of that, right? But it's just like, I've actually watched this woman grow, and that's why I always show behind the scenes, but I also share like the evolution of me, because I'm like, no, I was a chicken nugget just like you were. Yes, I got caught up in comparing people, but it's reminding myself, like, I'm on my first page, on my first chapter. This is someone chapter 10. Let's look at as an expander what's possible, but you got to stay in your own land, and you got to just keep focusing. You know, like in mentorship, I always think about like we're on a mountain and there's people at all levels, right? There's people at the top, multi-billionaires now, like millionaires. And it's like, but there's always people at the bottom, and you're always ahead of someone, and there's always someone behind you. Right. But at the end of the day, if you keep walking, there's always people. There's people at the bottom. There's people just starting their trek. And it's just like, there's like no scarcity in this. But coming back to your question, if I could just say something, is like for women, like the looks, the age, it's just like, we don't look at that anyways. Like, do you feel my energy more than you really look at my face? Like, people, when they write me testimonials or come in my world, they're like, when you speak, I feel you. And it's because I'm feeling it. They're feeling my conviction. A lot of it's energetics. A lot of people connect with you because of your soul and what you say, not like based on the external.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so true.
You can have an eclectic brand. You can build into that. But ultimately what starts is like your conviction, your courage, your connection, ability to make, you know, connections with people. And then every day that momentum.
And I think a lot of the issues that hold women back is the uncertainty of what their real purpose is.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can speak to like what we do. And I was sharing with clients this week about figuring out what lights you up that you can talk about, even if you weren't getting paid for it. Something that just makes you feel so energized. And that's what you want to hone in.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. And that's what you want to share.
And I think as a woman sometimes too, like I'm one of those niches that I'm all over the place. Like I'm going to talk about my grown kids. I'm going to talk about how my husband, I love him. He annoys me. I'm going to talk about being a grandma at a young age. Right. And I'm just like all over the place, but people laugh and they're like, okay. And then you sit there and you judge yourself and those insecurities come in of like, maybe I should do this, or maybe I shouldn't have done that, or, oh no. And then you give up or you quit or you stop being consistent. And then that's when everything goes wrong. But if you just would have kept going, right? Like it's okay to just be completely unapologetically you know, whatever, just totally you. And that's like one of the big reasons, Alina, why we created this platform right here, so that we can meet incredible women like you to give messages of be brave.
Yes.
Be strong.
Yes.
It's okay. Do whatever makes you happy. Talk about whatever makes you happy. Let's talk about those issues that just suck, that you think you're alone hiding in a corner like it's just me. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
And the thing is with saying all of that, the book that came to my mind is 3 Feet from Gold.
Yes, I share that story often.
I mean, I have it upstairs, but I forgot the author's name, so I was just pulling it up. But anybody who is in business or wants to, you know, be an entrepreneur, do something, read that book, because at any given point you could be 3 feet from gold. Do not give up, because you don't know what's right around the corner. And sometimes that's a great reminder for us to really recognize that we're so close. If you feel it, if you are passionate about it, keep going, because just as you turn the corner,
there's no other reason that we are like pulled to things too, right? Like when I look at people who end up becoming mentors and coaches, like the loving of learning about life, the loving of like coaching, psychology, like the things you're interested in. What are you researching about? Like you can monetize anything. And I love the 3 feet of gold, but it's funny because I share that story. I share stories of like Walt Disney, like 33 no's. But the thing is, people hear that like, 33 no's, but I'm like, but if you went slowly and like he got up, he got ready for the interview, he was all pumped and he went, and then they said no. So the next day he got up, he went.
Yeah, look at Sylvester Stallone. 99 people, 99 conversations, and all he wanted was to star. in the book, in what he wrote, he just said, I just want to star in it. That's it. And he could barely talk, like, hey,
Yep.
I want
His dog, Stallone. Sylvester Stallone he sold his dog. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The Pirates of the Caribbean, people don't know that. The scriptwriters took 10 years to convince Disney to take on their movie, and it's one of the most iconic series. But this is why I remind people, it's like you be brave to plug in and you don't unplug. Like, you got to stay in the momentum. Everything compounds. You compound a penny over a month, you're a millionaire. But people just keep opening the oven, letting the heat out, opening the fridge. Nothing can like actually compound, because we keep unplugging, because we're like focused on other people. And this is why, like, you got to stay in your zone. And this is my biggest thing too, as an entrepreneur. I think you guys know this is like the power of having mentorship, the power of being plugged into masterminds, coaching containers, people that activate you. Like, this whole journey, I've always had mentors and coaches, because it's like the moment you forget your power, something hard's happening, but when you're plugged into your mentor leading and moving, then it's like you remember your power. They're doing it, I can do it. And I was talking about this last week about like how leadership has changed. And I really believe in this whole feminine paradigm of leadership, where it's not the masculine way of pushing people, pulling people, or mothering people, because mothering is very masculine. Like, let's go, accountability. I don't believe in that. I believe in teaching women to be so self-led. And the way we teach people is to be like the role model. So the new leadership is, I go first, I do it so that you believe you can do it. And then I keep doing it. I keep walking up the mountain so you believe you can do it. And then we keep climbing. But I don't get off the mountain to go pull people up the mountain. I don't convince people. It's like calibrate to me. We're walking up the mountain together. We rise shoulder to shoulder, equal power, but different. That kind of energy, that's what I stand for. And I love it, because every client that I've ever had is the most self-led person. I'm like, I want people to leave and then be able to lead themselves. Us women, this is our biggest issue. Everybody. We mother, and mothering energy shocked me when I learned this in energetics. It's like, that's masculine. If you think of a mama bear cub and you get in the middle of that baby, what's going to happen? Protecting, providing. A lot of women mother everybody. They mother their clients. They're wondering why people are getting upset, why they're not getting results, mothering their husband. They're just mothering and pushing people, when the goal is to teach people to be so self-led that they get up in the morning, that they do what they got to do to plug into this. And honestly, as a mentor, I will tell you, if you can grow your business in this kind of way, you're never gonna have people that want a refund. You're never gonna have people that need accountability. I never had that in my business, because the whole goal is like, I'm doing it. You're watching me. I'm launching. I'm selling. I don't care what's happening in the economy, pandemics, whatever. I keep doing it. I keep walking, and people calibrate, because it's like, where do you go? You go where the power is. When people quit, in which a lot of people quit during COVID, I watched this. People that kept following, people who are selling, launching, moving, pivoting, investing, still doing it. And in every single recession, anything in the economy, the people who were brave enough, even if they had to hold debt, kept investing, kept going, kept doing, kept launching, kept selling, end up being the most successful people. But the people who get afraid, this is why I believe in also plugging into a container that inspires you, because if you plug into the collective, you'll believe everything on the news, which is a bunch of bullshit. Even like social economics, the reason you can't predict that is you don't know where people's minds are. But in I read a lot of books, and a lot of stories are like people became multimillionaires, homeless people, like, and it's always in the worst economies. Why did it work for them? Because they decided, I'm not going to believe in this. I'm not going to apply to this. I'm going to do what I got to do. Even that means like carrying debt, and it's an investment. That's the other thing. Everyone's like,
it is an investment. Yeah. And you decide, everything is a decision.
Yes.
So you can decide that I can't do it. I need help. And there's so many women that don't transition to that state of independent thought and independent going, I just want to follow and learn, and I'm going to do it myself. How do you find those women, or how do you transition those clients that are dependent and are looking for the, show me how to do it? Because a lot of women are waiting for us to reach down to pick them up. And I'm like, no, it doesn't help you. It doesn't help me. That's not how I raise my kids. You're going to be independent.
My kids
figure it out. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear, like, do you have a story or someone? I mean, obviously they took the first step and they came to you and asked for help. So, that's brave enough as it is. But, do you have a story of somebody that you never thought would like really just like get there and go and keep moving and keep pushing? And they kept like being the victim and feeling defeated. And then all of a sudden it's just like, a revelation happened? I mean, that's what I want to know. Those are the kind of stories that I'm like, okay.
So I will share, I'm going to share something with you guys, and this has to do with how you market in your business. And so I've worked with a lot of clients that are like, well, how did you attract even people who were in victim, but then they switched on and took their personal power, right? Is like, first of all, like, so if I look at my business, the reason I have free things, but my free things are out of this world. They're like mini little courses, and I give a taste to people. I give value, but I also give a taste to people. I'm like, if you're gonna like this, you're gonna like in my other containers, it's gonna happen, right? Because I believe in coaching. Like, if you're gonna hire someone, you should probably listen to them on video. You might not like their face or their voice, right? You're not just gonna buy, hey, this person's gonna leave me. So, but the way I market, I don't market any sort of savior marketing. And first of all, like, so I've never pushed anybody for one thing, but the way I market is I talk about exactly what I'm talking about with you. You're helping women tap into their personal power so that they're self-led, so they're creating. And the way I look at mentorship, there is no hierarchy. It's shoulder to shoulder. I know things. I have codes, but you have codes too. And we're going to uncode them, or we're going to walk together. I'm going to tell you everything I know as I walk up the mountain. But in my marketing, if you're wondering why you attract people, they need accountability, they're lost, they need savings, because you're probably talking to people in a way that they're turkeys. First of all, people really down their marketing, but you also talk very like, I'm going to save you. There's a lot of savior marketing. There's a lot of mothering marketing. And so I take it back into feminine leadership. So I show, as I walk, I show my embodiment, and the way that I speak is all about leadership. If you go to my master classes, you're already going to know what's going to happen. But I often say to people, I'm like, I talk about blame. I talk about that. There's no way you're going to get into a paid thing if you've already haven't listened to that. I talk about personal power in a lot of my contexts, tapping into that yourself. But then I also create different containers. So I have a membership. It's $111, and you're going to go in there and you're going to start reading you're going to start learning the how to cultivate confidence, self-empowerment, all the tools and strategies, everything I do. And then when you're locked and loaded and you're the type of person, get up in the morning, do what you got to do. You got to plug it. You already paid for it. So you've led yourself to the sale. Great. That's great. Now there's another level. Now there's paid programs. Then there's masterminds. Then there's private coaching. But in everything, if you read my content, it's all about, you need to learn the art of leading yourself. I believe, like, especially as a mentor and a coach, my level of entrepreneurship is to teach people to be self-led. If I teach people to constantly be a victim, and then because I need them to pay me, I teach people then to leave my container that can't lead themselves. This is why a lot of people say things like, oh, this person is blaming me, they didn't get results, and they're now on a refund. It's because you've probably mothered them so much. How you doing? Did you do homework? What did you learn from my class? If you do a lot of that, they're going to expect that. That's not teaching people to be self-led. I teach my own children to be self-led at 9 years old. There's no more parenting paradigm leadership where it's like, because I said so. That's gone now. It's, they watch you role model. I gave an example too. I'm like, the parents who are like, how do you get your kids to eat vegetables? You eat vegetables. You go first. Kids don't even listen to you. They watch you. Teenagers too. Not only they don't listen to you, but in their head, they look at you. They're like, well, based on the lifestyle you have, based on your body type, your finances, your happiness, probably not going to take your advice. We're supposed to be the role models. We go first. And then we keep walking so people see, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's the whole goal. But you got to speak to people in their power. I don't speak to people like they can't. There's no such thing to me as a woman who can't. There is no such thing. This industry would not exist, because I don't believe in that at all. And so in my free stuff, I will often talk about you. Every time you blame, you're in victimhood, you're not forgiving people, you're still saying because of this and that, you're not in your personal power. You don't even know that you're not even creating with the universe. So I speak about that. And so people already know, okay, but if they lead themselves to a sale, I know that they can lead themselves through a program.
But
so it's really the whole concept of everything that you're doing for these women to empower them to lead themselves is, when you start to have doubt, remember, come see, you can get calibrated again, get that hope, get that energy, right? Okay, I'll give that to you. Whenever self-doubt sets in, keep going. And then now let's just keep you plugged in so that you will never have that self-doubt reach you again. But if it creeps up, you have all of these things to support you so that it doesn't fail. It's a no fail.
Yeah.
And a reminder that everybody is either a number 1 or a number 100, and you could be in the middle. So don't look at that number 1, that 100 person that's 100 steps ahead of you. You just keep focusing on the one step at a time.
Yeah. And
And
believe that anything's possible. Like, believe quantum leaps, like believe in miracles. Like, anything can compound. I've had like crazy money milestones out of nowhere because things just compound. It's like if you've constantly been doing masterclass, connecting people, it's not just one person. It could be 10 people by at the same time. That's happened to me because I also believe like anything's possible. Plus I watch it happen to other people, which expands me, you know. But the thing is, like, I'm not even selling mentorship as a like, you got to plug it into it. So for all of us have heard this. First of all, you're 95% subconscious. We've heard all of this in self-development, right? Like you've been created since you were little. So you do have an identity. There's a way you think, right? And then we've also heard the 5 people that you surround yourself influence you. But what people don't realize is like, there is a lot of unraveling. This is why you got to plug into hearing new things, because once you start hearing new things, you're actually creating new neurons, right? Like I can get very it's funny because I'm spiritual, but I can bring science and manifestation to like where people are like, whoa, I didn't even know that. And so here's the thing. The reason I say, like, even when you doubt, you don't have to pay for someone. Like when I started, when I was like still afraid to really invest because I was in so much debt and I had the little babies, I plugged into YouTube channels all the time of inspirational videos. I led myself to inspire myself. Instead of being like self-loathing and self-deprecating, I'm like, let me go watch Tony Robbins. Let me type into Abraham Hicks. And then what I've realized is that no matter, as long as 51% of your conscious days you're plugged in to listening and having conversations like we are, you are rewiring your brain. Like this is science. The issue is most people, the 5 people they spend time with, which is like your conversations, your thoughts, your reactions, a lot of that comes with our interaction with people, are people who are stuck in lack, worry, fear, limiting beliefs, showing you evidence of their limiting beliefs, projecting that, and then you once in a while plug into on YouTube, but that's not going to change your life. Like, I'm going to be real with you. No one can say that one program, one call, one book is going to change your life. It's plug in every day. And this is what I call leadership. But if I say to people, 51% of the day, you plug into someone that gives you higher vibrational thoughts, someone that makes you think differently, you feel more empowered, you're rewiring your brain. You are. And so it is really important, like this 5 people, like at least you got to have 3 out of 5 people that are like having conversations like we are, where we're constantly empowering ourselves. So when you lose your power or you're stuck in like the matrix and people are pulling you to the collective fear, you plug into Alina, you plug into Renee, like Sierra, you plug into people that are like, yes, I remember my power. There's a whole different world that exists, but it depends on where you lead yourself and who you're plugging into. But like,
it's so true. It's so true. But we all, even though we can, and I think we all agree, we're all in the space where we have become really good at mastering our mindset.
Yes.
Right. And we have to. And, but the truth of the matter is we all have still moments of that self-doubt.
Yes.
That happens. We're human. So it's a matter of making the decision to say, am I going to sit in the self-doubt? Or what the hell am I going to do to get out of this? Because that's not where I want to stay.
No.
And that's the thing that when you're saying, talking to your clients and having them lead their own decisions and lead their own lives, it's not up to us as coaches or mentors to reach down to them and go, tell me what's going on in your world. Like, why are you, where you are? We have to lead by example, and we have to show them that, yes. And I love the fact that you are very authentic and in your stories and sharing your behind the scenes and sharing like what the day looks like, because sometimes it's not always perfect. And most of the time it's not always perfect, but it's how we go through that, that valley in order to get to where we want to go. I love that.
Coaching is ultimately the goal, like you said, but you call it self-leading, self-leading, self-coaching,
right? Self-empowering yourself.
It is the ultimate goal. And you know that you have arrived in a place of success when you can do that and train your mind to do it self-consciously without anybody in the way. But I just love how you say, have those calibers, recharge.
Plug in somewhere.
Yes. It's so beautiful.
Plug
Did
in.
you need it.
Yes.
You need it.
You do.
I mean,
I talk a lot about like, just like we are humans too. Okay. So we get impacted by people's energy. So there's also like understanding emotional intelligence, not just mindset. Just sometimes because this is the thing, you're just feeling off. There's nothing wrong, but then you'll go up to your head and start creating a story and go in a spiral. You know what I mean? And so just learning sometimes, like, first of all, as women, we do get our periods. I always tell my clients, please track your periods and let yourself know 5 days before. Self-deprecation moments are coming. Nothing's wrong. Take care of yourself, because like we get in our head and we create things, but that's when we can start manifesting really crappy things, is because I'm also not feeling good. And we all get like self-deprecating around our period. But then I'm like, oh my God, what if this is my business? What it is? And now we start calibrating down when it's like, wait, I'm just not feeling good. Today's not a day to think about my dreams. Like, this is the thing, is like, I'm not high vibrational missionary mind all the time. I'm a human. But when I have a bad day, I'll give you one of the most greatest manifestation hacks. Don't entangle with your dreams. Don't be writing content. Don't be doing the things until you feel more like back and stable. Those are times where you literally just like, I'm gonna have a sushi roll day. I'm gonna have a goddess bath. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna just take care of my human because I'm feeling off. That happens.
Yeah.
And then on the days that you're ovulating, also ladies, track when you're ovulating, best time to be manifesting. But then you're like, I'm magical on legs, everything's happening. Great time to launch, because it's like the energy works, right? I run a program called Goddess Code, and we talk a lot about like even like the sisterhood wounds, how important, why. I was explaining to them, like, there's a reason scientifically we all sync up with our periods and with your best friends, because when you're feeling like magic on legs and your friends like feeling like, or like the vice versa, it's when your friends ovulating and like la la la, the best day ever, the best whatever, and then you're feeling like, I'm sad and you're horrible. And do I look like this? And you look at yourself in the mirror, and it's like, then you start hating on your friend because she doesn't get it. And then you kind of reverse. But when you're synced, you're both self-deprecating, and then you're back to ovulating. But there's a reason that happens too, because then you just hate on other women almost because we're just not feeling good about ourselves. Like, don't look at yourself in the mirror when you're going through your period.
Right.
Okay, so and our audience, and a lot of our audience, Alina, is menopausal women. So just don't look in the mirror for any time after 50. We're just joking. No, because whenever you're through menopause, you don't know, you have no control over being able to track. And so that is another training method that, and this could be something that maybe you could add, or you could have one of us on one of your lives to talk about it. That when you are in menopausal hormones, there is no tracking. You do not know when those emotions are going to come, where normally, maybe 2-3 years prior, you could track. Oh, I'm really, really happy when I'm ovulating. Oh, it's 5 days before the period. This is when I want to murder everybody. So I'm not going to coach somebody this week. So you can do those things. And during menopause, you don't know what the hell is going to come out of your mouth. Like, you're like, what the fuck today? Or you're like, oh my God, girl, you're the best. And then so now you have to do that to yourself. And
but that's why it's really great to learn the tools on how to redirect our thoughts before menopause hits, or even if you're in menopause, connect with somebody so that you know, okay, it's going to happen. It's going to fucking happen. How do I make sure that I don't stay in it?
Yes,
train
your mind, ladies. Train it, because once those emotions come and you don't know what is going to happen, you have to recognize this is completely hormonal. I don't know what state or what day of the week it is, but this is where I am. Now let me talk myself out of it, and let me get to a place to where I can survive this day. Yes.
You know what? Something else about learning yourself that I love that Alina also works with is the human design.
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to say emotional authorities, because 50% of the world is like this. And so I coach on that a lot.
Yeah.
This is why. So it's funny that Siri said this. So this conversation, Goddess Code, I had a lady come up on like a mastermind. So I've had people come up, and she's like, okay, but then what do you do about menopause? So I go, okay, well, I will be real. I don't know anything about menopause. I'm not there yet, but this is where I'm going to throw the leadership to you, where you're going to go and do all your research to see, is there a possible way to navigate it? But then the second thing you do to lead yourself, because this is what I would do, is like, what do I eat? How do I live my life so that I have the best? Because there is, right? There's the biohacking. Yes. I would be tapping into everything that makes me feel good hormonally, but this is at the core of what I believe in. I'm always believing in like your identity, your belief systems will always create your life. So I believe also in like the placebo effect. So when I became pregnant, everybody was like, are you going to puke? You're going to feel shit, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm not going to listen to anybody. It's the same thing I'm going to say to myself during menopause. I ain't going to listen to anybody. I'm going to have the freaking best time of my life, no matter what. I'm going to rock menopause like nobody's ever seen it. I rock pregnancy so well. Like I worked out every day. I full-term healthy children, you know what I mean? Like no puking, no feeling like crap. I did everything I got to do. I had amazing energy because I chose it every day. It's like a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice. I choose. It's not coming out. I choose to feel great. I choose to have an amazing pregnancy. So if I was going to menopause, I would do all the research. I'd do all the biohacking. I'd take care of myself, my body. But then in my mind, my belief would be like, I'm going to have the best menopause. It's not even going to affect me. And I'm going to freaking rock it. And I'm going to be a badass. And that's it. Because so be it. Because that's my belief system.
And you got to rock any situation that comes at you, no matter what. Like if you are bleeding to death, everybody on this show knows my story. And I was bleeding to death. But you know what? You have to make it the best version of you and just roll with it. And I love that you said that, like, look up, like, what can help me naturally to stop bleeding? Is there something that I can do that, you know, like a heating pad? What works? What doesn't work? Join support groups, recalibrate, as you say, which I love, by the way.
And then mindset, just choose. I'm going to be the exception. We know there's stories like that. There are some people that they don't, I know some people that are like, I'm fine in menopause. I don't know what they're talking about. But I really believe once we believe and we calibrate to a belief system, like this is going to be hard. This is going to be rough. You're going to create it. And the way that you act is going to create it. And then in your mind, when you already think something's going to be hard, you're going to just naturally feel crappy. Because you are telling your cells, you're telling your brain. It's just like when we say, oh, this dream's going to take a long time. But because you say that, you start acting in accordance of that. So everything will go slow. But when you have a belief of like, miracle going to happen tomorrow. This call that makes me a 6-figure a month. And then you do it in your best energy. The way you operate, the way you show up as universe is different than when you think it's going to be a long time. Because this is how I started in my coaching industry, as a coach too, when I was going live. At first, nobody was showing up. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to start being her, being like like just crazy and delusional that like thousands of people are going to listen to me. And I'm going to speak in a way that 1,000 people are going to listen to me, that my voice matters. Guess what? People start showing up. But it's like, you be her now. This is why I always say you go first and then everybody responds to you. You step into that version that is like, it's happening. The miracle's here. People are watching me. The way you speak, the way you show up, your energy, everything's different versus the version of you going live being like, no one's going to be there. No one's going to listen to me. No one cares. That energy is what's going to create that actual result. So this is why it's like the identity shift is also like, I got to be that version of me now, as if 100 people were listening to me. How would I speak? Like, you know, when people tell me like, oh, I want 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. But like, but if you already had them, be her now would mean like, would you actually take this business seriously? Because this is the thing is everybody lives in circumstantial power, meaning until I get paid, until the evidence comes, until the people come, until I know people are clapping for me, then I'm going to step into this high vibe, you know, powerful version. You got to be that now. And then the people are pulled to you because of your energy.
So right.
Waiting. It's like, how would you already show up on that YouTube channel? What would you create every single day if you already knew 1,000 subscribers are waiting for you? And then it'd be different. And you start creating. But because no one's there, no one's watching, you don't even do the videos. And if you do, they're probably half-assed. And then you're wondering why the results are crap. It's like, you gotta be her now, as if it's already here. Now, how serious?
Absolutely.
And I love that you say that. Go ahead, Renee.
I talk about that a lot with the future self and recording your future self, recording yourself as if you've already achieved all of that. I teach that but it's also, you have to listen to that, but that makes you live in that space.
Yes.
It's one thing to record it and say, this is what I'm going to live and here's my life, but you have to own it and treat it. When you get up in the morning and you listen to that future self script, you're like, yep, this is my space and I'm owning it. I am living this life today. Even if it's not exactly where you are, but you are acting as if you are already there. That is so important for sure.
Like
And I love the thought of like, treat everything as if you're already where you're supposed to be, especially with your content, because some of my best content, it took months later, and all of a sudden I just kept getting this, like, these likes and these comments, and I'm like, God, I did that a year ago, but I showed up as my best. And now all of a sudden it's somehow that song got popular again. Like the Sonic song. There's a 90s rap song. It was in a Sonic movie, and it's all of a sudden coming back. So if you did a song or you had that in one of your contents, that song is being generated now, and people are clicking on it, and now they're watching and they're listening. So if you weren't the best version of yourself, you never ever know what could happen when it comes to things like that.
Sure.
And so I always think about that, because a lot of times people do not think that when you put that negativity out there, 5 years from now, somebody could be reading that and being like, oh, I'm not going to follow her.
Yeah, it's a digital footprint.
Never know.
The digital
Everything you put out. And I tell my clients this, I'm like, it's good for me now and it's good for me later. And I know exactly what you mean, because posts because sometimes I repurpose like my big story content. There's some things I'm a big creator. I love creating on the fly, but like there are some that like, these are like my iconic, posts. It's funny. Like when I first posted, like 10 likes, and then the next year there's 50, and then now it's compound. It's the same post. But because every move that I do in my business and in my life is like, it's good for me now and it's good for me later. There is no half-assed. There is no, this is the best that I got and I do it now. And I always know, like, guys, everything you put out there is a digital footprint. It's out there. And even for like, I have masterclass people are watching 4 years ago. And I made sure, I'm like, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be credible, because very well knowing like someone could come back and watch this. So what do they want to tap into? What version are they going to tap into?
Yeah. And if you're new to social media and you're like listening to Alina and you're getting totally inspired and you have this brilliant idea that you want to start to talk about, definitely create it, say it, speak it as if you wanted to speak it in front of 1,000, 100 million people, because you never know. You could get 1 million hits and bam, you're speaking in front of 1 million people. Sure. I laugh at my content from years ago. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. What was that? But I keep it there. You just never know.
You do. Evolution. It's
an evolution
too. And you have to learn from it. You have to say, you know what? I could have done this better. Or there at that moment, I could have said this. Or, I could have reworded that.
But it's also such great proof for those that follow us that know that we were there and where we are now, right? We didn't just show up where we are today. We had to do and put in the work and fail forward a lot in order to get to where we are. So
that's why I say keep that stuff there. Obviously make it squeaky clean where you don't have any things where you're doing things back in the day that you're embarrassed about, but keep your evolution, keep that selfie. Like I used to sell with selfies, right? And so like, keep it there, because then when people say like, oh, it's easy for you because you're this is that, it's like, scroll down, because you're going to see what the evolution is. And then again, that's what builds the trust in your audience too, is not that you just showed up. And that's the other thing, guys, is like, if you're posting every day and you're doing it, people will trust you to pay you online because they know you're not going anywhere. That's the thing, is people know like, I'm not going anywhere. People are jumping into offers sometimes. They don't even know what it is, because I'll do like secret offers. But I just show people, I'm like, once you've built a credibility where like, that what you're going to deliver is going to be amazing, they trust it, and you're always showing up. I show up all the time. There's not a day I'm not online, right? And so it's like, she's not just going to take my money and run away. And that's a big thing too. So this is what I talk about, this whole ping-ponging with a lot of entrepreneurs, is like, they show up, they do it a bit, but then they unplug from the compound effect, because it's like, this is hard. I'm having a hard day. And this is why at the end of everything I teach, and I think you guys do too, is like, not just mindset, but it's just personal power, that even when the hard things are happening, tap into your personal power, because everything's there that you need. But if you keep unplugging, that's why it's like the circumstantial power. I need everything to be perfect, and then I got to do what I got to do. That's just not how life is, especially for anybody who wants to hold a lot of people. You want to lead people. It's like, you're going to be tested. And so if you can overcome circumstances and keep doing it, then it's going to show people I can do it too. I don't want to teach people quick fixes. And this is another thing I talk about my marketing. I'm not your accountability coach, and I'm not the person who's going to give you here's one step to a 10K day. Like that doesn't even exist. The people, that's great marketing, but that doesn't exist because there's so much behind the scenes. There's a mindset, there's emotional intelligence, there's personal power. There's so much of your identity that has to shift. There is no quick fixes. Like a fitness quick fix is a bad idea. Anything quick fix
is wrong. Yep. It's wrong.
You got to do their inner work. You got to do the real work.
Yep.
The real work.
There's no shortcuts in life for sure.
There is not.
No.
And the biggest work is just like you said, Alina, it's showing up and being consistent. Like that is the biggest work,
right?
My biggest regret was whenever I took on corporate jobs, I stopped doing TikToks.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, gosh, because I just was headed so fast, super, super fast. Now I don't even know if the platform's going to be there. We'll just say that. Okay, we'll know in January, but you know what I mean? And then I mentally, everything was focused on this corporate job. And I just stopped doing it, and I didn't show up, and I wasn't consistent. And, then you try to come back, and you're just like, you're trying to find these people that you were connected with, that community that you built. And then you stop commenting. They stop commenting. You stop finding out what their days were like, what their story was, how, where they went shopping for the holidays. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I did this. So, if you learn from anything, learn from me, somebody who stopped. And a lot of my friends are like 900,000 and over 1 million followers that we grew up, 5,000 together. And then we were celebrating, we hit 10, we hit 20K. And, you just don't stop.
Just don't stop.
Yeah, don't burn the crops. The people do that, right? It's like I look at social media as like it's a farm. It's like you plant seeds every day and you water your crops. You nourish your audience. But if you burn your crops, then you got to start over. But you can. But then you got to show up and water it every single day. It's a great analogy to use for entrepreneurship with like how we talked about putting out your best. So a farmer that's putting like seeds, they don't know what it's going to grow, but you got to show up and water, even though there's no evidence yet of what's growing. You got to believe, hire the manual labor, you got to water the crops, you got to love and tend to the soil, even though there's no evidence. That's social media. There are people watching us more than you can fathom. There are people watching you, but then you got to keep being in that compound. Eventually they grow and they're like, I'm ready for you. And we don't know what people's timelines are, but our goal is to be like the farmer watering the plant our seed, and then we nourish our audience, and we every day trust that someone's going to pop and we're ready to go in. And I have like examples of that. So I always look at people in different categories. Like some people are like, I found you the first time. Some are like, I've watched you for 2 years straight. Some are like 6 months, 3 months. I always ask people because I love it. It's a beautiful story I tell them. Like everybody's on their own different timeline.
Yeah.
My only job is to keep walking, nourishing my crops, watering those crops and loving them and trusting people are going to pop.
Yep.
Right?
And that's how we connected. That's how we connected on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. What's next for you? Do you have like a big, what's next?
What's next? So it's funny talking about identity programs. So I have a big identity program, then a mastermind that I'm starting in January. Right now I have a new course starting because I have 2 memberships now. I stretch my capacity, right? So I'll tell you guys something else that's really funny is like when you first start as an entrepreneur, like for me, it was like, it took me like months to create one program, and it would take me like literally a week to prepare for the one module that I would do once a week, right? And the course was like 2 months. Now, this is how much I've stretched, and someone with 4 kids now. And this is why I tell women, I'm like, you don't even know what you're capable of. You stretch and can hold so much, but now it's like I have 2 memberships with 1 live program going on with a free masterclass and then a course that I'm a mastermind and private clients and my own mentorship plus 4 kids. And I'm doing it all without sacrifice. It's the other thing I want to role model to women is like, you don't need to pick 1 or 2. You can do it all. I promise you can, but you got to stretch your capacity. And women have this because like, for those of you who are moms, we had 1 kid.
Multitaskers.
Like, do you remember when we had 1 kid? For those of you mothers, you're like, why did I ever say I didn't have time? Because now I don't have time. Then you have 2 and you're like, why did I ever say I didn't have time before? Then you have 3, some have 4. And guess what? All of them, same 24 hours, able to do more. And your business and your capacity to speak and everything grows. Again, the compound effect. if you show up every day.
Oh,
So
right.
right now I have a lot going on. I have a course that I'm starting this week. I just had a free masterclass. You guys would love. It's all about leadership and going first, like quantum leap kind of energy. And then I'm going to take 2 weeks off for the holidays, celebrate with my family and Christmas. And then I'm just excited. Like I have this whole like metamorphosis program coming.
I love it.
And for me, I'm just like, every time I get an idea, I go with it. Like, and I just move on it. And I don't care about if people are going to like it. I'm like, if I'm lit up, this is going to work. And this is what I teach my clients. And so, I just keep building, and I'm trying to like stretch myself even more. Maybe I'll do 2 masterminds, and because I love it. And honestly, what's helped me too is like, we talk about plugging in, having conversations like this with you guys. And then I get to go on a mastermind call after this. And these high vibrational thoughts are constantly in my mind, and then ideas are coming. And I don't worry about posts, because all of us that we just talked about, you too, I could talk about all kinds of things on my stories right now. You guys inspire me with all kinds of content. So for those of you who are sitting there for 2 hours writing a post, stop that. Live your life. Go learn something, then write a post about, this is what I learned. If you have a hard day, I had a hard day, but then I led myself to do this. Maybe it will help you out. These are my posts. They're real life posts. Like, we actually get to live a beautiful life and get inspired by it and write posts, and it all works. Because even if you're selling a product, ultimately people choose us because of who's leading the brand.
Yeah.
And they watch you, right? So like, just, you guys inspire me right now. Like, I should come up with like 1 million posts right now. And so just whatever's on your heart, just do it. You're going to build the confidence with just the courage, and just got to compound it. Like, courage is compound, like confidence is compounded courage. And like, whatever idea you have, that's something I've been talking about lately with people. I'm like, there's a reason. And right now we live in the greatest time ever, especially for women and feminine energetics. Like, we're connected globally to people around the world. There is no scarcity. Like, you can have multiple like clients and multiple members. Like, there's enough for all of us.
I love it. Thank you for inspiring us today, Alina. Thank you for giving us hope. Thank you for empowering women. We love you. And we hope that, we can connect you through our connection to many women that will, follow and be inspired by you as well. You're just so amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. And then we're going to also have, your contact information and website in our show notes, so everyone can stay connected with you, follow you on social media, and if they have any questions, to reach out to you. So thank you so much. And as of this recording, we're going to be enjoying the holiday season. So I hope that you and your family have a beautiful holiday season.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year for sure. And we'll see you soon. Thanks again. And for everyone listening, thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode of Unapologetically Badass.
See ya.